Russell Brand has been an actor, a comedian, a podcast host for decades. All of a sudden, he's one of the most forceful voices for the truth in the English-speaking world. He's also a deeply interesting person with a lot of insights about God. Amazingly, Russell Brand. We sat down with him for a long conversation. A brand new episode of Tucker Carlson Today. Here's a small part of it.
As much as I might enjoy the feeling of privilege and luxury, and I'm certainly making no claims to be an ascetic, I remember what reality is. I remember that my wellness is contingent upon spiritual connection, upon certain values and principles, and I'm sorry to admit, involve sacrifice and self-scrutiny about my own conduct and behavior, which is often fall short, and I'm working on improving myself. I continue to work on improving myself. So when I sort of hear morality sort of as bombast, or when I hear rhetoric divorced from compassion, it makes me feel uneasy. So I've been blessed with a very practical spirituality, like many desperate people. I need spirituality, I need God, or I cannot cope in this world. I need to believe in the best in people. I need to believe that there are new alliances possible, new ways of us communicating, because I see atrophying and corrupt systems delivering yet more misery to people, and I think it's increasingly necessary that we find new ways of framing the conversation and looking into our hearts when we're speaking. Are we being kind? Are we being loving? Are we being the best that we can be? On whose behalf are we speaking, and what is my intention moment to moment? Am I doing this for self-glorification? Am I doing this because I have obligations to rumble the platform I'm on? Or am I doing this because I genuinely believe that a better world is possible, and that world is born individually within each of us moment to moment, and it's possible to change? I genuinely believe in change, and I'm not at my core a misanthrope. I don't believe that we need systems of condemnation. I don't believe that if people aren't heavily policed and heavily controlled, they will behave badly. I believe that we can self-organize. I believe I'm optimistic about your country, and I'm optimistic about mine, and I'm optimistic about the world. But I think the price of that optimism is a degree of reason and an acceptance that many people see the world very, very differently at this time. Right. And we're going to have to allow one another some distance to be who we are, whether that's individually or communally. And these are the areas that interest me. And these are the things that have always interested me. The fact was, I just didn't have enough self-discipline to resist the allure of stardom, and I fell face first into the glitter, and I'm only just pulling myself out now. But once I stopped drinking and taking drugs, it became clear that there was a lot more on offer. The ability to, in fact, as they say, recovery, the term recovery is undergirded by the idea that we recover the person we're intended to be. And this idea of intention, I think, is rather beautiful, because when you live in a nihilistic, post-rationalistic, materialistic world where there can be no telos, where there can be no glory, where there can be no meaning, none of us are meant to be anything. But the idea that there might be a purpose for you, that there might be something that you can become. This, I found this idea very engaging and very comforting, and I've got to be honest, it also engaged the more egoic and narcissistic aspect of me, that I could achieve something in my life. But as time has gone on, there's an ongoing tension between those things. Individual achievement and a sort of an ongoing desire for recognition and plaudits, but a deeper understanding that there is something valuable here on offer, that we can achieve something. And it's actually sort of quite humble, irritatingly, isn't it? Like that it's mostly about helping people directly. My worldview is formed by spiritual principles rather than political principles, that my values are derived from quite simple ideas around kindness, community, acceptance, gratitude, and I'm making no claim to practice these principles anything like perfectly, but at least I know what I'm aspiring to, and I know that my spirituality is about my conduct and how I behave rather than telling other people how they should behave.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson Tonight.